Hello, Suns fans. This is Suns Latest. I am Rich Rubin. I'm giggling because I played a prank on my wife yesterday, and the most amazing thing about my wife is she hasn't murdered me. But let's get to it. I'm never going to tell you what I did. I'm a terrible, terrible husband. I'm a good husband, but I'm a terrible person. Quote of the day: Rhythm is everything in boxing. Every move you make starts with your heart, and that's in rhythm, or you're in trouble. Your rhythm should set the pace of the fight. If it does, then you penetrate your opponent's rhythm. You make him fight your fight. And that's what boxing is all about. And quote, that is from arguably the greatest fighter, pound for pound, Sugar Ray Robinson. And we've heard this, I think, most of our lives, that this guy fought his fight no matter what you threw at him. And there are guys that impose their will on you, like Joe Louis used to do, and Rocky Marciano used to do, and Mike Tyson used to do. But Sugar Ray was so advanced and skilled as a boxer, he didn't have to impose anything on you. He simply went out there and did what he was going to do. And as Mike Tyson said, yeah, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Sugar Ray Robinson was hard to punch in the mouth. It took a long time for somebody to punch in the mouth. He fought Jake LaMotta 6 times. And he beat him every time. He could never knock LaMotta out or knock him down, I don't think. But he kept beating him. Jake LaMotta was the subject of the Raging Bull, the Robert De Niro movie. So there's a lot of history with Sugar Ray Robinson, but I like to relate that quote to the Suns this year after just one preseason game. It was kind of cool to see them make the Lakers play their game. I know LeBron and Luka didn't play. I know Jalen Green and Mark Williams didn't play. But we've talked about it. We've gone back and forth in the comments with a bunch of you. We've had this back and forth. It's like, looks like the Suns are going to impose hustle and grit and defense and out-conditioning teams. And that forces other teams to play your game. And when you are young and inexperienced, what you have to your advantage is wind. And you had better use all the wind you got. They're going to get in trouble. There are teams that will impose their will on the Suns. Just straight out of experience. But for now, that's how they're going to have to do it. And that's a great quote. You make them fight your fight, and that is how you win a lot of things, and that is definitely what boxing is all about. So some news, next preseason game. We got 2 of them. They are against the Nets. They're in China. They are Friday, and this Friday, and then the 12th. And as I said the other day, I really hope the Suns are already there. There hasn't been a whole lot of talk about, did they go yet? How long does it take to get to China? I have no idea. But the Suns will do their next 2 preseason games there against the same team, the Nets. Suns kick off the regular season Wednesday, October 22nd at Phoenix Arena against the Kings. And in case you didn't know, we have a new GM, Brian Gregory. And this is more on the the Suns are screwed forever. They're stretching the Bradley Beal contract. We don't have first-round picks. No, we don't have any first-round picks anytime soon, and only 3 second-round picks in the future. But we are allowed to take money back, to take back more money in a trade and aggregate contracts for the first time under the apron rule. So this is interesting, and I'm not a mathlete, and I'm still fuzzy on how this all shakes out, but this does benefit the Suns if we want to combine contracts of, for example, Grayson Allen and Nick Richards, even if the salary taken back is less. That's what the aggregation rule allows us to do. So right now only Devin Booker makes more than $34 million. So breathe easy. We just might be able to make a decent trade in the near future without setting ourselves back again. It's just a possibility, but it's something that we need to, when you don't have first-round picks, these are the kind of things that a good front office will go, well, wait a minute, we can do that. We might be able to turn one of these into a higher second-round pick, or maybe trade a couple of second-rounders and get a low first-round pick. It's just some good news. It's not huge stuff. Anyway, this just came up this morning, and I wasn't about to talk about it, and it has nothing to do with the Suns. But when you get the guy that's kind of been the face of the league for a good part of 20 years at this point, my God, he's going into his 23rd season, which is impressive. I've never been on the wagon with LeBron James. I always respected his game. I just don't think he's as good as I don't think he's as good as a lot of the guys that I came up with. And I've watched LeBron a lot of times live. The one thing he does really well is, like the greats, he plays his version of basketball. There's 9 guys playing hoops, and he's doing his own thing. Other than that, I gotta say, I was always wondering what the hype was about. He's an incredible player. He's a top 10 player. He's not in my top 5. He's just not. I'd take Larry Bird over LeBron any day of the week. But remember the first time you realized you weren't cool anymore? This has nothing to do with how great LeBron is. This is just odd. Not old, but just that time you were like, I don't think I should try to be cool anymore because now I just look like a dork. Yeah, that happened to me, I don't know, 1,000 years ago. But that just happened to LeBron with his decision to, which turned out to be an ad campaign for Hennessy. But it's decision to, and by the way, the decision, the original one 15 years ago when he took his talents to South Beach, that was so lame and so weird and so not needed. And whoever told him to do that is dumber than a box of rocks. LeBron has worked with Hennessy for a while, and in the ad he says, this fall I'm going to be taking my talents to Hennessy VSOP. So he's moving up in the world of Hennessy. By the way, I like Hennessy. He posted on Twitter that he would be making the decision of all decisions soon, and this was it. And as lame as the original decision was 15 years ago, this is a new level of lame. It's mostly out of control ego and out of touch. And the original decision is written about in, where's the book? This book, The Soul of Basketball. Awesome book. Really good book. And it talks in depth about the decision 15 years ago that LeBron made and put on television and embarrassed himself and bothered a lot of people with that and set in motion the kind of person that he was. But clearly out of touch, and LeBron's camp clearly telling him what he wants to hear. Personally, if I was that famous, I would really hire a media consultant and just make sure that things are triple checked before you go ahead and do them. Very strange to me. Let's head to your comments. Dagoon R, there's certainly room for improvement, but I saw more that I liked than I didn't like. Talking about the first preseason game. Yeah, it was fun. Book and Grayson looked great for early season. Second, your guy showed up and man outscored Dominate Him. Ooh, Dominate Him. You know what? As much as I made it quite clear that I don't care for DeAndre Ayton, he doesn't even deserve a derogatory nickname. His own name is derogatory enough at this point. We'll be good to get Green and Williams into the fold to see what we really have. I had more fun watching that game than almost any game last year, young and hungry. 100% agreed. And a lot to be optimistic about. There's a lot to be said for Grayson Allen being a steady vet for us. How good is Book going to be this season? I said it before, I say it again. First team All-NBA, top 5, maybe top 7 in scoring. He's that guy. He needs to be that guy. Why would he play the first preseason game? Why would he start? Why would he go off against guys that he knows can't defend him, that he knows could not defend him? Because Devin Booker's got something to prove. He has nothing to prove and everything to prove. Either way, you Suns fans, we have a dominating superstar who's going to remind everybody how freaking good he is. Curious Mind 2525. Hello, sir. It was obvious to me that what Coach Ott said at the beginning of camp is what we saw. The Suns worked on their nonstop hustle, defensive schemes, and offensive movement. The criticism about the offensive output, especially with the new players, is premature. Agreed. I am confident that the offense will improve as more games are played. It's a young team. It's a young team with one guy that can fill it up. We're going to be fine. 100%. We've been talking about what Coach Ott would bring to this young team, and he's smart enough to know what will be competitive. That we will be competitive as long as we hustle and scheme defensively and move and wear teams out. At Anonymous Rex, Suns look good, lots of ball movement, cutting and good off-ball movement. 29 team assists says it all, and 50 rebounds says it all too. Dagoon R. Ayton may have a Tesla battery, but he has the drivetrain of a pedal car. True. I will never get tired of making fun of DeAndre Ayton. And and as I said many times, mark my words, by All-Star break, maybe you'll hear the grumblings before the All-Star break, after the All-Star break, as the playoffs get close. Watch what the Lakers do in regards to DeAndre Ayton. Just watch. That's all I'm telling you. All right. We are counting down the top 15 legends of all time. And remember, we picked the 15 together for the most part. And number 6 is the Greyhound, the man with the velvet touch, Sweet D. His name is Walter Davis, 5th overall pick of the 77 NBA draft out of North Carolina. Played for the Suns from 77 to 88. NBA Rookie of the Year. He beat out Bernard King and Marcus Johnson for NBA Rookie of the Year. And yeah, he had a good final year at North Carolina, but nobody really knew that he was going to be a perennial All-Star and a 2-time All-NBA player. Second leading scorer in Suns history up until last year, and that is a long time to be the leading scorer of a team. Number 6, retired by the Suns. Ring of Honor, Basketball Hall of Fame. Over his first 10 seasons, Walter Davis averaged over 20 points per game 6 times. In 1983, I have mentioned this before, and I will never not mention this. Walt Davis set an all-time NBA scoring record, his first 34 points without missing a shot. It took until 55 seconds left in the game for him to miss a shot or a free throw. He made his first 15 field goals, converted 4 straight free throws before missing a jumper with a minute left in the game. Think about how insane that kind of offensive output is. Think about how demoralizing every defender that the opposing team threw at him felt. And it's like, I don't know what to do. That is fighting your fight. And that is how you win. Walter Davis is a freaking winner. It's a record that doesn't get talked about enough, and it shows you just how dominant Sweet D was. Led us to the Western Conference Finals in '84 with 24.9 points per game, 6.7 assists, 2.7 rebounds through 17 games. That is a prolific playoff performer. All-NBA his rookie year, All-NBA his second year, second team both time. I mentioned that Walter Davis lived in my neighborhood, and as a kid, I'd see Walter Davis all the time. I told you about the story where they had to take the passenger seat out of his wife's Volkswagen Rabbit so he could sit in it. He also, I think he took that. Walter was a pretty humble guy for a top 10 NBA player. But he lived across the street from the PJCC, Phoenix Jewish Community Center. That was my neighborhood. We all lived there. It was a predominantly Jewish neighborhood. We called it Haifa West. Well, actually, the Suns did, but that's where the Suns practiced for years. So he was a small forward when he came into the league, an all-star as a small forward. Coach McLeod, in one of the few things that I didn't agree with, moved him to shooting guard later on. Davis, being the ultimate team player, took on playing guard. He had never played guard. He had never faced the basket during his high school and college career. And he became an all-star anyway, albeit as a small forward still. But he was on the ballot as a shooting guard, and people voted him. I'm sorry, he was on the ballot as a small forward, even though he had been moved to shooting guard. So I said a lot about Walter Davis. We talked about the controversy near the end of his son's career and how he relatively salvaged his career with Portland and Denver, and he became really popular as a Denver Nugget. But talking about the superstar stuff and what he did for the Suns and how he excited a crowd and how he was just the best thing for the Suns for the longest time. I'm going to get really personal with you. So at the JCC where the Suns practiced, we would go watch. All the kids in the neighborhood would go. We were allowed to go. We could sit in the bleachers and just watch a professional basketball team play. Sometimes the opposing team would practice there after the Suns, and you'd get to see Dr. J, or you'd get to see Dave Bing and Bob Lanier of the Detroit Pistons practice, and it was nuts. It was a really, really special thing about growing up as a Phoenix Suns fan that you don't get to do today. So we would go. And, you'd rebound for them. You'd hang out with them. You'd get to talk to them. Maybe you get an autograph. That's how I got my little basketball autograph. But my older brother, Joey, who was an all-division point guard for our high school team, the Washington Rams, could care less about the Suns. He didn't hate them. He was a ball player himself. And even as a high school kid, he took his basketball incredibly seriously. And Joe Prosky, who rounded up the basketballs after Suns practice at the JCC, he would, if we were getting too close to the players or bothering them or holding onto the ball too long, he would yell at us. Even if he knew us, he goes, "Hey, knock it off, go sit in the bleachers." And my brother would go, "Suns practice is over. What are you doing? It's been over 5 minutes. They're still here." My brother would yell at the Suns trainer for the Suns to get off the court so he could work on his game. That's how serious my brother was. He wouldn't wait, and it happened a lot. Joey was very focused, and he was very good. As I said, he was all division. He broke our high school assist record. Everyone knew him at the JCC. He was MVP of our youth league team. Not a problem. He was as clutch as it got. He absolutely bullied other players during his couple of years on youth league there, and he was 5'4". He had a textbook jump shot. He led. He was an incredible passer. Never missed a free throw. He was a little tiny Steve Nash, as far as I was concerned. So one day, after Walter Davis gets converted to guard, this is probably halfway through the season of him, and Walter Davis was always getting to practice early and working on ball handling. He didn't have to do it as much as a forward, but now that's his job. He was bringing the ball up half the time. He's watching my brother do his warm-up and do his, in his own head, his dribbling warm-up. And Walter Davis and I knew each other pretty well, and he knew who Joey was. And Walter Davis goes, "Who's that little guy?" And I go, "That?" He goes, "That guy?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I go, "That's my brother." And he goes, "That's your little brother?" And I go, "No, he's my big brother. He's older by 3 years." And he goes, "He's tiny. He's so much shorter than you." And I'm like, "Yep." And then Walter looks at him a little bit more and he goes, "He's good, isn't he?" And I said, "Yeah, he's very good." And he goes, "He on a high school team?" And I go, "He's a starting point guard as a junior." And Walter's like, "Huh." And gets up and walks over and introduces himself to Joe formally. They shake hands. And then Walter Davis starts asking my brother questions about ball handling. My brother was a ridiculous ball handler. You could, I wish I had some video footage of him. Maybe I'll show you a picture of him one day. Um, Joey was phenomenal, especially at 5'4". He was so special. He was the spark plug. And I've talked about that, and I've talked about being a spark plug. Leandro Barbosa was a spark plug. Ronnie Lee was a spark plug. Joey Rubin was a spark plug. And Joe knew how to play. And Joe understood the concept of playing point guard because he was too tiny not to understand the ins and outs of the game. He had to see the game the way Magic saw it, the way Nash saw it. He had to be 3 steps ahead to maintain a starting spot. And he was ultra competitive. And I swear to God, the look on my brother's face when Walter came over to him and started asking him about ball handling wasn't of, oh, cool. It was like, I got to do my thing, man. Anyway, for the next few months, every now and then, if they happen to be at the gym at the same time, they'd talk. And I swear to you, and I know it sounds like a weird brag, and there's no way a top 10 NBA player would ask a high school kid to teach him aspects of the game. I'm just telling you what I saw. And the weirdest part is neither of them really talked about it outside of that. And we were walking home one of the times that Walter and my brother worked on stuff. And I asked Joey, and I said, hey, what was Walter asking you? And he said, just some basic ball handling stuff. And I said, that's kind of cool. And he said, mm-hmm. I said, don't you think that's pretty amazing? And he goes, he's a hooper like me, Rich. That's what my brother's focus was. And when it comes to the game, there's no ego. You want to learn game, you ask somebody who's better than you at something or who at least has something to offer. That's who Walter Davis was. That's where his heart was. That's where his focus was. How can I get better? It doesn't matter that I'm asking a high school kid. So I get choked up about this because Walter Davis has passed away. And my brother passed away a long time ago. And it's okay. I get upset. It's more about a happy thing that I'm one of the few people that watched that. Because a lot of other people thought, oh, well, that nice basketball player, superstar, is talking to that little kid. It wasn't like that at all. So not just an underrated, phenomenal superstar, huge in Suns lore, but a good heart and a good man. Without an ego, he just wanted to be great. Walter Davis is your Suns legend of the day. Thanks for watching Suns Latest.